Emotionally exhausted, Adam felt himself starting to get tired, but he was determined to stay up until Melanie returned. After another hour of waiting, he lay down on the sofa and soon fell asleep. Sometime after midnight, he was awakened by the sound of the door opening. As he stood up, Melanie walked into the living room and stared at him with her hands on her hips. "Mel, we really need—" "I don't want to talk about this now," she interrupted him sharply. "You can stay the night on the couch, and we'll talk in the morning." Without waiting for an answer, she turned on her heel and headed down the hallway to their bedroom. Hearing the door slam, he groaned and lay back on the couch, hoping that sleep would return. It took a long time. Adam usually got up early to get to the office before everyone else, but even though his body clock woke him up at the usual time, he felt obligated to not leave until Melanie showed up so they could talk. He made coffee and sat down at his laptop to read the news while he waited. It was almost 8 o'clock when Melanie entered the kitchen. Adam was shocked to see her dragging a suitcase behind her. "Where are you going, Melanie? I thought we were going—" Before he could finish, she raised her hand to stop him. "It was a terrible shock, Adam. This calls into question our entire marriage. I need to be alone to think about what happened. Spring break starts tomorrow and I'm going to Florida to visit my mother." She pierced him with an angry look. "I plan to spend the whole week there and return to classes next Monday. While I'm gone, I don't want to hear a word from you. I need this time for myself. Don't call me, don't call my mother, don't call my mother's house. Do you understand?" He nodded helplessly. "I'm serious, Adam. If you try to call, I might not come home at all. Understood?" He nodded again. "Okay," she said, and walked out the door to her car, dragging her suitcase behind her. When she left, Adam sat in shock for several minutes. Finally, he returned to the bathroom to shave and change his clothes. Then he gloomily drove to work. When he got to the office, good news awaited him. His foreman took the lead in distributing the missing components to the appropriate stations on the model production line, and testing proceeded smoothly. "At least the business won't crash and burn today, unlike my marriage," Adam said to himself bitterly. In the afternoon, he was working on a spreadsheet when the phone rang. When he answered, he heard that Jerry was on the line. "I was worried and wanted to know how you were doing. How did it go last night with Melanie?" "Oh, well, it's a long, sad story," he said dejectedly. "Oh, that doesn't sound very good. Maybe we can get together to discuss this again over a drink." "That would be great, Jerry." "Same place? Okay." Before leaving, he checked his email again, but there was still nothing from Gudfriend. When he entered the bar, Jerry immediately noticed the dark circles under his eyes. "Adam, it looks like you didn't get much sleep last night. Tell me what happened." He took a long sip from his beer mug and began to talk about yesterday's confrontation and Melanie's departure this morning. Jerry looked at him with a mixture of sadness and guilt. "Oh, Adam, I feel so terrible. You followed my advice, and it turned out to be completely wrong." "No, Jerry, I thought about it a lot, and I'm convinced that it was the only thing I could do." Of course, I didn't expect Mel to react so violently, but there was no way I could keep this letter to myself and pretend that nothing had happened. Now I can only hope that she will cool down and we can discuss everything when she gets home. "You say that very nicely, Adam, but I still feel guilty about what happened. So what are you going to do for the rest of this week?" "I don't know, Jerry. If Mel and I don't talk about what happened, I don't see any way to move forward. Maybe I'll wait a few days and then try calling her." "No, Adam. This is the only thing you shouldn't do. She already thinks that you don't trust her. If you try to contact her after she has directly told you not to, it will only prove to her that she was right." "Yes, I guess I understand that. But I feel so damn helpless. I don't know of a way to find out who sent the letter. The only thing I can do while she's gone is continue to try to figure out who this Professor Bellingham is. This makes a lot of sense. If you could find him, maybe he could fill in some of the blanks for you." Over the next few days, Adam repeatedly tried to unravel the mystery of the anonymous letter. Despite the lack of success, he was still convinced that Bellingham was somehow connected to the university. Then he started brainstorming. Maybe the reason I can't find this guy is because he is a graduate and not a teacher. Well, I'm an alumnus too, so maybe alumni relations can help. When he called and identified himself as a graduate, Adam was immediately transferred to the development department. The guy who answered the phone wrote down all the necessary information about Adam's address, phone number, and email. He then asked how much Adam wanted to contribute to the alumni fund. No, I'm not calling to make a contribution. I'm trying to find Professor Bellingham. I think he might be a graduate. The man made him wait while he checked several databases. Sorry, sir, but it seems we've never had a graduate with that name. Is it true? What about graduate schools? I checked them too. Perhaps he is not a graduate, perhaps he simply studied for a year or two and then dropped out or transferred. The guy seemed to have lost interest. I'm afraid I can't help you. Our database contains only graduates. Is there anything else I can do for you? After Adam turned him down, he hung up and cursed in frustration. Damn it, all I managed to achieve was to guarantee that I would be invited to the next alumni fundraising campaign. Having made no progress on the phone or the line, he took an hour off the next day to visit the Graduate School of Business. When he got there, it was almost empty. It's spring break, dumbass. Adam cursed to himself. But several people were still found, and he began to walk from one office to another, asking for information about Professor Bellingham. Finally, the assistant dean met him face to face. Sir, I'm very sorry, but you will have to leave. If you do not comply, we will be forced to call campus security. Adam apologized and hurried away, more upset than ever. Returning to his office, he sat down heavily at his desk. After another futile check of email, he dropped his head into his hands. What should I do now? At that moment, his work phone rang. When Adam answered, an unfamiliar voice asked, "Are you the young man looking for Professor Bellingham?" When Adam confirmed that yes, the man continued, "My name is Dr. Avery Mayfair. I am a member of the Graduate School of Business faculty and may be able to help you. But first, let me ask you why you're trying to find Professor Bellingham." Adam was hesitant to discuss his situation with a stranger, but desperation took over, and he briefly told Dr. Mayfair why he was looking for the missing professor. When he finished, the caller made a contemplative sound. "It's clear. I overheard your questions at school today, and the way you presented some of the questions made me wonder if there might be something similar. Anyway, I think I can reassure you, young man. 2 years ago, Bellingham was an adjunct professor at the graduate school. He was a worthy teacher, but unfortunately, enrollment in his course was below our minimum requirements. His course was canceled, and his contract was not renewed." "I see," said Adam. "This means there's one more thing," Dr. Mayfair continued. "At the beginning of the current academic year, I received a message from Professor Bellingham. He wrote to tell me that he had found a job at Black Hills State University in South Dakota. Is he in South Dakota?" Adam asked in bewilderment. "That's right," the professor confirmed. "And there's something else you might want to know." In the same message, Professor Bellingham informed me of his recent wedding to his longtime partner, Harold. "Harold? This means Bellingham?" "Exactly. Dr. Mayfair, thank you very much for your call. I still don't understand why someone sent me such a treacherous letter, but now I'm sure it was a lie. I was hoping I could calm you down. Sir, may I ask one more question? Why did you decide to call me? Don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful, but I'm just a stranger to you." The professor's tone of voice changed. "I don't mind telling you, young man. Many years ago, something very similar happened to me. My wife left me to run off with her lover, so I have deep sympathy for anyone who may find themselves in a similar situation. Fortunately, in this case, the warning you received turned out to be false, so I am glad that I was able to dispel your doubts. But as you can imagine, I have very strong feelings towards anyone who interferes in a marriage. If this statement were true, I would not hesitate to tell you." "Thank you, sir. You have no idea how much I appreciate what you did." That evening, Adam called Gary to tell her the good news. "I still don't know who is trying to destroy my marriage, but now I know for sure that Mel is not having an affair with Professor Bellingham." "Are you sure you can trust this, Dr. Mayfair?" "Absolutely." After the call, I looked him up and found him on the business school faculty. He is an elderly man, probably around 60, and appears to be well respected. But just to be sure, I also checked out Bellingham on the Black Hills website. Of course he was there. That's great, Adam. You must be extremely relieved. Yes, it is. But now my problem is what to tell Mel when she gets home. It's easy, Adam. From what you told me about your confrontation with her, she never gave you a chance to talk. When she returns, tell her that you never had any doubts about her. Tell her that you already knew about Bellingham, that you tracked him down as soon as you received the letter. But since she reacted so strongly, you didn't have a chance to tell her about it. If you play your cards right, Adam, she'll apologize to you. I don't know, Jerry. In fact, everything was not like that. He heard the smile in her voice. Come on, Adam. Is it really that bad to stretch the truth a little to get what you want? On Sunday, before returning to town, Melanie surprised Gary with a phone call. Hey, girlfriend, I just wanted to check with you about how Adam is doing before I go home. I'm a little nervous about what I'll encounter when I arrive. The only thing I know for sure is that you owe me a huge debt for everything I did for you while you were busy with your affair. With a little help from me and some luck, you will be able to return to your husband, and your marriage will be in better shape than ever. With that, she continued to describe the week, ending with Adam learning of Bellingham's whereabouts. If you play your cards right, when you get home, Adam will apologize to you, you will apologize to him, and everything in your life will go back to normal. There was a pause on the line. What if I don't want everything to go back to normal? I didn't understand, Melanie. What do you want to say? Just last week I had an explosion. Carl, the guy I was with, is so funny. Melanie's voice became a little hoarse. And most importantly, he is a fantastic lover. I haven't felt such pleasure for many years. In any case, I'm not ready for my little adventure to end yet. I want to continue seeing him at least until the end of the semester. Come on, Gary, you have to help me find a way to help me out. Stop, Melanie. You're already taking a big risk by leaving with this guy for a week. If you try to keep the romance alive here in town, you're really upping the odds, girl. Maybe, but you have to admit, your little plan worked perfectly. I bet you can figure out how I can do this again. Come on, Jerry, please. This guy is really hot. I was afraid that something like this might happen. There was a long pause. Okay, Jerry said slowly. I can come up with a plan to do what you want. But you have to understand that you will jeopardize your marriage to Adam. He's a good guy, Melanie. He is hardworking, loyal, and a true family man. Men like him don't come along every day. Are you sure you want to risk it all for a little fun between the sheets? Melanie chuckled. You turned me on with the phrase, I can come up with a plan. Okay, but don't say I didn't warn you. Now here's what you need to do. Do you still have that email account you created? Certainly. You told me to keep it active. Good. Because you need to send another letter from Good Friend. Only this time, you will send a message to yourself, to your regular email. Okay then. What will be in the new letter? Everything is exactly the same as in the previous one. Only this time, you write that Adam is having an affair with me. What? But that's not true, and Adam knows it. How can this help? It's simple. The first letter accused you of having an affair. Adam has discovered that you could not have been unfaithful with Professor Bellingham, but he may still have doubts about your fidelity. Wait, Gary, did you tell me that a letter with Bellingham would give me freedom in my relationship with Carl? So it was. But now, after he receives the second letter, he will have no doubts. He's already proven that you weren't having an affair with Bellingham, and he knows for sure that he's not having an affair with me. Obviously, the good friend is a complete liar, which means Adam has no reason to doubt you anymore. This means that you can get away with almost anything you want without arousing Adam's suspicion. There was silence on the line. Melanie then exclaimed, Jerry, you are a genius. I don't know how you came up with all this, but you just gave me a hall pass that I can use for the rest of the semester. There are 2 more things you need to do, Melanie. First, make sure Adam tells me about the second letter. Okay, but why? because this way I can reinforce the idea that you are trustworthy and this unknown friend is not. Oh, it's good. He really cares about you, so he will listen to your advice. Now, what else? After you send the message to yourself, remember to log out of your good friend email account. What if Adam accidentally finds him? Oh God, no. In fact, you should probably sign out of both of your email accounts when you're not using them. You don't want Adam to find love notes from Carl, do you? I warned Carl never to email me, but this is still good advice. Better safe than sorry. Returning home from work that evening, Adam was alarmed to find Melanie crying. Things had been going so well between them since she returned from Florida that the sight of her upset face took him by surprise. "What's wrong with you, Mel? What's happened?" he asked, rushing towards her. "Oh, Adam, it's all starting again," she said with tears in her eyes, handing him a copy of the letter. "Son of a bitch," he swore after reading the accusatory message. "You know that's a lie, don't you? Certainly cute. I know that you will never cheat on me, just as I will never cheat on you. And even if you cheated, I know it would never happen with Gary. She is such a good friend to both of us that she would never do anything like that." Damn it. Someone is still trying to cause trouble for us, and I have no idea who or why. There must be some way to track these things. She looked up at him hesitantly. "Are you going to tell Jerry about this?" "Do you think I should?" "I think you should. Whether you like it or not, she's involved now. It would be unfair to her not to tell her about this." The next morning, when Adam called, Gary answered in a friendly manner. "Well, how are the two lovebirds doing today?" Adam's tone was solemn. "We're doing well, Jerry, but there's something new that I need to talk to you about. Can you meet after work? Actually, I plan to work at home after lunch. Could you come to my house?" "Okay, good. I'll come in between 6:30 and 7. Opening the door to her apartment in the evening, Jerry immediately noticed the solemn expression on Adam's face. "What's the matter, Adam? I've been worried since you called." He shook his head. "I'm really sorry, Gary, but it looks like you got caught up in this whole thing with Melanie and me." When she looked at him in confusion, he handed her a copy of the last letter. After reading it, she looked at Adam in despair. "But it's just funny. We don't have an affair. I would never do that to Melanie. I hope she knows that." He nodded. "She knows. In fact, she told me the same thing." Gary shook her head in confusion. "Glad to hear that. But what do you think this all means?" "I think this means that someone is very keen to stir up trouble between Melanie and me. First a warning about Professor Bellingham, now this. The only thing I can think of is that I have an enemy, perhaps a business competitor, but I have no idea who it could be. But anyway, since it now seems to concern you, Mel and I decided we should warn about it." She nodded. "I'm glad you did it, Adam. You are always so caring, but I don't know what we can do about it, unless the mystery person does something overtly or makes a mistake. I don't think calling the police will do any good." "I agree with that, Jerry, but it's so frustrating. I'm tired of all this confusion, and I just want whoever it is to leave us all alone." "How does Melanie perceive this?" "She is very upset. When I came home, she was in tears. I'm not surprised, especially after the ordeal the first one caused. Look, Adam, I think Melanie is pretty fragile right now. Between all of this and the fact that she's so close to graduating, I guess she's a bundle of nerves. You must take care of her as much as possible. Do you think we should both just block all mail from this account? This may turn out to be a mistake. If he sends anything else, I think you'll want to know about it." "Yes, you're right. But how can I protect Mel?" "For starters, if you get another one of those damn letters, I wouldn't tell her about it, at least not right away. For that matter, I think you should check her email on your laptop every chance you get. If she receives another letter, you can forward it to your email before she sees it. This way you don't have to interfere with her." "Yes, I think that's a good idea." He got up. "I'm really sorry you had to be dragged into all this. If this is supposed to be an apology, Then I don't need one. You are very dear to me, and I will do everything to help. He smiled gratefully. I'd better go home to see how Melanie is doing. He started to walk away, then turned, hugged Gary, and kissed her on the cheek. Thank you for being such a good friend. Having you by our side through all of this means a lot to me. When Adam returned home, he was pleasantly surprised to find Melanie in a much happier mood. The next morning, she was even more cheerful and got up early to have breakfast with her husband. This is a real holiday, Melanie. I don't see you that often before I go to work. Well, I didn't want you to leave this morning without being able to say, I love you, she told him, kissing him. By the way, she added, I wanted to be sure to let you know that I'm going to a lecture on campus this evening. A few girls and I are going to grab something to eat after this, so I'll probably get home pretty late. Of course, Mel. Everything is fine. We have a lot of leftovers in the fridge, so I can grab a snack here. Thank you, darling. I'll probably come home after school to drop off my school things and change clothes. If we don't see each other, have a good evening. Knowing that Melanie wouldn't be home, Adam stayed late at the office. For a change, business was starting to pick up. A large potential client really liked samples of the new product, and Adam hoped they would place a trial order. At least something is becoming clearer. Now I just need to get to the bottom of who is playing email games with Mel and me. He was still thinking about the mysterious good friend when he entered the house. As he started to walk into the bedroom, he noticed Melanie's laptop sitting on the table. I don't think she needed him for the lecture. Then he remembered Gary's proposal. I wonder if she still checks her email. If so, then we need to check if she received anything new from this bastard. The laptop came to life when he opened the case. The email page wasn't open, so he clicked on the Gmail link to see if it was registered. When he did this, a window opened asking him to select an account. He saw Melanie's email, but it had been unsubscribed, so he started closing Gmail. Before he had time to do this, he noticed a second account under her regular mail, and when he looked at it more closely, he froze in bewilderment. The name of the account was Good Friend. What the hell? He exploded, staring at him. He tried to open it, but Google asked, enter password. Not knowing the password, he closed the tab, then sank into his chair, trying to comprehend what he had just seen. How could she have an email account with that name? I know that Gmail doesn't allow two users to have the same address, but that means Melanie was the one sending those other letters. Why would she do this? Why would she send me an anonymous letter in which she accuses herself of having an affair? Only after a moment did the answer reach him. It must have been a distraction. She wanted me to chase some gay professor in South Dakota because she was having an affair with someone else. Then another thought hit him like a punch to the stomach. Her trip to Florida. When I showed her the letter, she pretended to be very upset with me. She told me that she was going to visit her mother, that she needed time away from me. Now I wonder if she even saw her mother. He quickly took out his mobile phone and pressed his mother-in-law's number. When the elderly woman answered, he spoke politely for a minute and then said, Tell me, Melanie and I were thinking of coming to visit next month. Will it be too soon to see us again? Too early? I haven't seen you for ages. Please come when you can. He ground his teeth in anger. Good, excellent. We will contact you when we have decided on a date. Having said goodbye, he broke the connection and cursed. What a bitch. I wonder where Melanie actually went. And more importantly, I wonder who she went with. Bitch. Then he remembered the last letter, the same one that Melanie received. What was this for? Damn, this must be just another distraction to take her mind off of her while she goes to lectures with her girlfriends.